Well, our moms think we're funny.
Hey everybody, this is Turk 182.
And Acomi.
How's it going, Acomi?
Doing pretty good. We're gonna talk about justice ass.
So, I'm sorry, we should actually properly announce this episode.
Yeah.
This episode is Zack Snyder's Our Moms Think We're Funny.
Yeah.
So, as you probably know, because you saw the description when you clicked on the thing, and but yes, we are actually going to do an episode about Zack Snyder's Justice League, which everybody, of course, is doing something on Zack Snyder's Justice League right now. The 4-hour-long Wow Fest. Is that a good way of describing
that's
it?
That's a pretty apt description, yeah.
So, if you guys have listened to the podcast, you have heard us back and forth talk about how much we like Zack Snyder. I think I probably led that parade because I really do like Zack Snyder a lot. As far as a director goes, I really like his work.
Did you almost say Snack Zider?
I sometimes it's hard for me to say certain words because when I do, then I get that pain because so right now I'm actually suffering from the after effects from an illness I had, which in the medicine I'm taking is giving me horrible reflux and heartburn, where anything that I eat or drink or even just my own saliva just causes my chest to be like, hey.
See, that made me look like even worse of a person, so thanks for...
It's like, hey, thanks for the match. It's not matches. I'm just swallowing. I just want to breathe. And they're like, no, you said fire, right? So...
Turn down the gain just a little bit again. Okay.
So when I go to speak, some words I can, like, when I go to say, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's going to burn when I say that. Just because of the way you breathe and swallow and stuff. But anyway.
Yeah, I was just shooting for a funny improv joke, and now it's all somber, so real mood killer there.
Oh, yeah, right? Like, you're not going to make fun of me for being ill in any way, because no, I'm above that. No, we're 3 seasons in. People know exactly what you're about. Look at me, I'm walking the high road. My name's Acomi, and I'm a saint.
Saint Acomi.
Yeah, you just realize that you can't pull off that deathbed confession if you're like in the middle of a rampage. You're like, oh, wait, no, I might get sniped before I can actually be like, God, I'm sorry. And then, not only that, but they, like, God, I'm sorry. And then be able to, like, somehow, like, take a couple minutes, like, really get yourself to believe it before you say it.
Yeah, you know how it is, but yeah, we've talked quite extensively about Justice League on this show. We did a Let's Watch of Justice League. That's actually the movie that is why we don't post our Let's Watches on YouTube.
It is.
Because Susan Wojcicki can just suck it, basically.
And we've done an episode, we're going to be doing another episode about, like men and women and, just kind of, the misrepresentation of women and women's roles and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I will have to say that she, in her case, that she probably hasn't sucked enough dick in her life. I know that sounds wrong, but again, she's the exception to the rule. She probably needs to suck more dick.
She got bullied off of her own platform.
So
she started a channel and was like, oh, I'm going to have a vlog channel. And then she like brought on The Rock and a bunch of other celebrities. And like, how do I have a successful YouTube channel? It's like, none of these people are successful YouTubers. So after posting this one video, everybody in the comments section was like, fuck you, you suck! Fuck you! And then she never posted again.
I like that idea of like, hey, I'm rich and famous, and so I can get pretty much any like celebrity I want to appear on my podcast or my show or whatever it is. So yeah, why don't I do that and be like, hey, look, this is how you can become a successful like YouTuber. Oh yeah, because all of us can do that,
right?
It's like the guy like the 16-year-old that wrote those Aragon books about the dragons and shit.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, who's
I read the first one.
Who wrote the book and I think was originally like self-published or something, and then a friend of his at school like read it and took it to his dad, who was like a publisher, and was like, Dad, you got to read this. It's really awesome. One of the kids in my school wrote it. And he was like, yeah, oh, okay, whatever, Timmy. I'll publish the book if you just leave me alone, all right? And that's how his book got published. And it's like, oh yeah, because all of us have friends like that, you know? Just like, you know, like Chris Claremont. Hey, guy, let me introduce you to a good friend of mine here. You know, his name is Al Jaffe. Al, would you like to meet my son Chris? They're like, yeah, cool, that works because we all have Al Jaffe. He's like, fucking Al Jaffe, dude.
Everybody's got an Al Jaffe in their life. Maybe I'm turning the gain the wrong way. Hold on.
The gain is on the other side.
Oh, is it?
That's the volume.
Oh, that's been the problem. I'm like, what the hell's the deal here? Okay.
Me am work computer.
Whoa, that's way more gain. Way more gain. I don't usually use microphones with manual gain on the microphone.
Oh, you're gonna try to mic shame me now? You fucking piece of shit. You're gonna try to mic shame me. I don't use like these such inferior mics. Just happen to be, you know, at this recording session.
I usually use like real mics that big boys use, you know.
Have you seen the other side of the door handle to my front door?
Not recently, no.
Let me acquaint it with your ass.
But yeah. So Zack Snyder's Justice League. You know, we did the Let's Watch of the original Josh Whedon cut. We did a review of it, which I don't remember if we did a you should watch or a you shouldn't watch or what. I was pretty critical of the first movie.
You know, the first movie. So comparing the two, and we'll get into a lot of that comparison. But the first movie, I enjoyed. It did have some parts that because I've watched it, God, I don't know, maybe 10 or more times. And it had some parts that I was like, like I don't really understand like why this is or what it's there for. I will say that the Flash comes across much better in the Zack Snyder version than in the Josh Whedon version.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's in Russia, but it's in some part of like the Ukraine or Slavic countries, something like that. You know, Eastern Europe.
They said it was near Moscow. So
is it okay?
Yeah.
So in the movie, and God, it must have been like the third or fourth time I watch it, and people are gonna be like, "What? Are you serious? Are you stupid?" You know, stupid is, stupid does, listeners. But I thought they were the only family there because they focus all that time with them until the evacuation. And then Superman picks up the building and flies it away.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, there were other people there? Like, why did you spend all this time with just that one family there and instead you want other people? Like, and then Superman flying an entire apartment complex, like that doesn't, you can't just lift that up.
Without like completely fucking up the structural integrity of the building, because, you know, that's a thing that happens.
I was actually talking to a friend at work, who, his friend has actually started a YouTube channel or podcast on YouTube, and he talks about comic book stuff. And
cool.
It's,
when people get offended by us, we can tell them to listen to them instead.
Well, I was actually about to just drop a little thing out there.
Yeah. Big shout out to these guys.
It's Knights of the Nerd Table, I believe it is. I'm just gonna make sure. I was in the middle of listening to so.
You could have just given them a totally inaccurate shout out.
Yeah.
Just completely changed the name of the podcast just to piss them off.
Yes. Knights of the Nerd Table.
Sweet.
And actually they just did an episode on the Zack Snyder cut and the Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 1. So they're ahead of us by a little bit. So you know what? Fuck them. No, don't listen to that channel at all. Fuck. They're not even on YouTube. They're on some other kind of thing. It's not. It's some platform that nobody even uses anymore.
They might even be more offensive than us. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're on Vine. So. But yeah, no,
you can watch them floss to the Zack Snyder cut for 4 hours. That's how Vine works, right?
But no, but I'll tell you, I was listening to the one episode they had done, which they did an episode of Man of Steel and Superman, and I actually had to stop listening to it because I was listening to it while I was working, and I was so engaged in it that it was distracting, and I had to stop after like 15 minutes. I had to stop. So, but anyway, he and I were talking, and I knew he's a comic book guy like us, and I mentioned that whole thing about Superman flying his building away, and he was like, He's like, no, that wouldn't work unless you had tactile telekinesis. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, okay. All right, so now you're pulling out like the Connor Kent, like, Superboy. I was like, all right.
Nice.
So, yeah, you know your stuff. Okay, all right. Genius. Billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. With your long hair and beard, you look like fucking Rasputin.
Everybody listen to the song Rasputin by Boney M. It's as catchy as all hell.
So anyway, but yeah, like the thing is, you can't just pick a building up and just fly it away. It just doesn't work like that. So, but anyway, so that whole thing, I was like, wait, there were other people living there? I'm like, you never really bothered to show us them, which was a flaw. I mean, there were other little things about the first one that I didn't like, but then at the heart of it, there were things that I did like. And
you know why they didn't get more camera time for the Joss Whedon cut?
Because it had to come in under...
Because they didn't have big jubbly bubbly boobs to show off for Josh.
Yeah, because, I mean, you got to be covered up in the, when your place is still mostly radioactive. It's like... No, the place is not all radioactive. It's just mostly radioactive. But now watching the Snyder Cut, I can see that even though there were some things about... the Joss Whedon cut that I liked. I'd have to say maybe 80% of that, though, was all Snyder stuff.
Yeah. No, there were, and we'll get to this, there were like a couple of things that were cut from the Whedon cut that I missed, and there were things that I liked from the original, but for the most part, I was very critical of the original Justice League. And I had some pretty harsh words about it in our previous reviews, and
I just want to... Just show you this real quick here. Sure. That's the guy I work with.
Okay.
Rasputin, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay.
Definitely. Handsome dude.
I have not, just for those of you asking, tried to shoot him, poison him, strangle him, stab him, or cut off his genitals. So, that's, I just want you guys to know that. I consider him a friend.
You got to play some catch up, man.
Shit, man, if only work would let me. But, I tried talking to my boss, but, look, this one guy here, he's not like everybody else. I got to try to poison him, stab him, and then drown him after all that stuff is gone. Yeah. And then, as far as the genitals part goes, I don't even know what kind of knife to bring. Like a butcher knife, or, one with the serrated edges used for cutting bread, or what a butter knife do. I don't know. It's like a carrot peeler. I don't know. So,
God,
I just need like a day off. She's like, no, get back to work.
Didn't Rasputin have some big confusing Willem Dafoe type dick?
Yes, I heard that he was kind of like a Michael Fassbender, and I was like, oh, okay, that's what I heard. I wasn't there, but
we should go ask some Russians.
But Tsar Nicholas' wife Alexandria, her diary speaks volumes. Okay, sorry. Yes, let's go.
But yeah, I'll just say right off the bat, I think that this movie kicked the shit out of the Joss Whedon cut. That's just me. I was way more critical of the Whedon cut than you were. I had a lot more issues with it.
Well, and I'm going to say this, and hopefully it won't come back to bite me in the ass. I think for the most part, the fact that nobody was either emotionally, physically, or sexually harassed while making the Snyder Cut is already it's a big thing that just makes it stand out that far ahead of that.
That does kind of help, doesn't it?
It does. So, hey.
What I said last night when we watched it, and I'll just say it here for the podcast, is that...
Yeah, because they weren't here last night.
That's right. You guys should have been there. It was awesome. But I will say, every criticism, for the most part, probably 99% of the criticisms that I had for the Whedon cut were addressed in the Snyder cut. And I really liked that, because I bitched a lot about the ending fight scene.
Yeah, you did.
And I really hated the ending fight scene in the Whedon cut, and it spoiled the entire movie for me. And they did it better, and they did it differently in this, and that's more than I could have asked for. I guess we should say spoiler-heavy episode here, so if you haven't seen it yet, then...
they should. I would like to think that they should be aware of that. This is going to be spoiler heavy. I mean, how can you talk about something this grand, this epic, and not end up spoiling something? I mean,
yeah.
But so I want for at least my part of it is I want to talk about the stuff that from the Sweden cut that I liked that's missing.
Okay.
So
It's just probably some of the same stuff as me.
Okay.
So we'll...
and I would like to go in chronological order of the movie, but I probably can't. Just because I can't, like trying to go through the movie, it'd just be easier just for like the ideas pop in my head, be like, yep, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. The scene, I guess one of the first scenes in the movie with, and I got to look up the guy's name because I always end up butchering his last name.
Yeah. Dirty Mike. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Dirty Mike and the boys. We will have sex in your Batmobile.
Rub your dicks on the cars you run by, boys.
Robin said it was okay. Okay, so Holt McCallany.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird, and I know we're rambling already, but it's kind of weird how when you find an actor that you like, it's like when you first find an actor that you like, it's not really because their acting is great. It's because they are in a movie and you like that character, you like that movie.
Yeah.
So for me, he was in Fight Club, and he's the what do you wish you'd done before you died? Paint self-portrait, build a house. So he's the build a house guy.
Nice.
And he's the guy that in the elevator is like, I think he's the one. No, he's not the one that says he's one tough motherfucker in the elevator scene in the end. But he's one of the early space monkeys.
Yeah.
And I mean he's great. And then of course he's in The Losers. He plays Wade. What am I looking at here, Wade? Clay in his unit. Sounds like a porno, Wade. So I see him in that stuff, and I'm like, and I love him in those roles, and so he just finds a spot in my acting movie repertoire. I'm like, I like this guy.
Yeah.
And then I, as I've talked about several times before, as my mom's gotten older, she's become more receptive of showing her movies. So, showed her The Shannon, and she watched The Thing. Still will not watch American Werewolf in London. I don't know why.
Why? That's so weird. It's such a tame movie compared to The Shining. Good grief.
It's The Shannon.
Shining, sorry. Oh, I want to get sued.
Yeah, so we watched, and I showed her the trailer for Reanimator, and I was like, yeah, you can't watch this, by the way. That one will be happening. But we watched Night of the Creeps, Return of the Living Dead, and the other day I actually got her to watch LA Confidential, which I knew she was going to love it, but she watched that and she actually did love it. So, but she's become more receptive to these kind of things.
Yeah.
And so I got her to watch Creepshow 2. And I wanted to watch the first Creepshow as well, but I couldn't find it for free. And got to watch Creepshow 2. And for any of you who've ever seen Creepshow 2, if you are unaware, Holt plays the guy in Creepshow 2 that in the old Chief Woodenhead story with the long hair. They're supposed to be ending as I'm going to go to Hollywood, and his hair's going to give me the Hollywood. And in the end, old Chief Woodenhead scalps him.
Yeah.
That's Holt. When I was like, what the fuck? That's Holt? I mean, are you serious? When I saw that, I was like, holy shit, that's the same guy. So anyway, all that to say that, excuse me, that his scene in the Joss Whedon version with him and Batman, when he's robbing something, Batman stops him and uses him as bait to find a parademon.
Yeah.
That's all Sweden stuff.
Yep.
So, and I like that scene, maybe because it's just got him in it. But I also like the, in that scene when Batman goes to leave and he's like, it's because he's dead, isn't it? And it's he's like, they know. And, and then, it moves on from there.
Yeah.
I missed that. But I'm going to say, as much as I miss some of these scenes, if including them meant that you had to change something from the Snyder cut, then I'm fine with them being gone.
Yeah. I will say I didn't really miss that, but I also don't have the same investment in that actor that you do.
What?
You know me and actors.
You like The Losers.
I like The Losers, yeah.
You like Fight Club?
Yeah, I like the guy. I'm just saying I don't have like the same level of investment that you do. That's all. I know the guy and I like him.
Okay. So because this is, by the way, just letting everyone know, because this is Zack Snyder's Our Moms Think We're Funny, there are going to be several slow motion parts of this podcast, so just bear with us.
Oh yeah, no, this will not be devoid of criticism because I do want to talk about the slow motion.
Okay.
So we'll get to that.
So one of your scenes that was in the Sweden cut. You mentioned one to me before.
There were two that like really stood out to me as missing. I'm trying to remember them both. I know like the main one that I was really like, oh yeah, no, I remember both. No, the main one that was really like, oh, I kind of hate that they took that out was in the Whedon cut.
Sweden.
The Sweden cut, sorry.
Josh Sweden.
Wonder Woman walks in as Bruce is like changing clothes and getting out of the bat suit and into his civvies. And she sees that he's just like covered in battle scars and bruises, and we talked about this. We talked about this in our review of the original,
right? Because he's he walks away into his little room, and he unzips the thing, and he's struggling to get it off.
Yeah, yeah.
And then doesn't she like
she helps him? Yeah, I think.
Did she also put his like he like dislocated his shoulder, and she like puts it back?
Yeah. So like I hated that scene was missing because that really humanized both Bruce and Diana, and plus I think we talked about this in our original review too. One of the things that I thought was really cool about that is that was a tip of the hat to an Alex Ross painting.
Yes,
because there's an Alex Ross painting of showing Bruce out of the suit, and he's just covered head to toe in scars.
It's in the oversized, that magazine size format book they did for Superman, Wonder Woman, and I think Shazam. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Shazam, and I forget what the Batman one is titled. I could go grab it. Actually, I can see it from here.
I think you got that copy of the book on our last review of it.
War on Crime is what it's called.
Yeah.
And it's a montage page, and one of the pictures it's just in like gray, and just shows his back, and it's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. It's gorgeous. Yeah. So like, I really hated that scene was taken out. And I can talk about the other scene, or do you want to take another scene? Or?
Well, I was actually going to just jump in on that one too. I love that scene, not just because in the Snyder cut, Batman, and I'm not sure if they mentioned it in the Sweden version, but Snyder says that Alfred says or one of them says that I've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah,
He's when he's talking to Aquaman in the beginning, the longer Aquaman scene.
Yeah,
he says, I've been fighting, crime in Gotham for like 20 years, and so seeing his scarred up back. Now, when he's training, we see, so when he's doing something, we see like a little bit of like a scar on him, but seeing that scarred up back, and not only that, but when he's taking off his outfit and Wonder Woman sees him, she sees the pain he's in just trying to get that thing off, and it kind of reminds her that, with the exception of, actually, not Flash, that can't even be included. He's the only one that's human. Like,
yeah.
He's the one that doesn't have any powers. He has no special abilities. He's also the most vulnerable out of all of them, and he's leading the charge. And like, it's kind of that reminder there that he's they almost like they need to be more like him because they have everything he doesn't have, and so. So I do like that scene quite a bit.
Yeah. I feel like we're repeating so much of what we talked about on the original review. Yeah, but like I kind of put it on the same level as Iron Man, where and we talked about this before, that like there's a theory online that like Tony doesn't react as badly to wearing the Infinity Gauntlet as Thanos or the Hulk. Both Thanos and the Hulk are like screaming and writhing, and Tony just kind of like winces a little bit and then he snaps his fingers. It's because he's used to being in pain, according to that theory. It's like he's been in pain every day of his life ever since the shrapnel, and Thanos and Hulk are not used to feeling pain. So when they feel it, it's like, oh shit, I'm not used to this. Well, for him, it's like, oh, it's another Tuesday.
I would have to argue that one, Hulk feels a lot of pain. We see that in some of the other things where, the transformation to the Hulk itself is painful.
There is that, yeah.
But if you look at that scene in Endgame, when he puts on the gauntlet and he's sitting there, if you watch where the energy like crackled up and went up everyone's arm and just burned the shit out of Hulk's arm, it eats away at the nanotech in his armor. So so it's not affecting him as much as everybody else because you can see where it's burning away the nanotech there. So that's actually taking the brunt of all that energy.
Interesting.
But you can actually see like the low tendrils of energy going up and just eating away at all that stuff when you watch it. So you were going to give your, I guess I could give another scene that I liked that was missing.
Sure.
And I'm trying to think. It was well, I know the one that you missed was a Flash scene that shit. What's the other one now?
There were a few that we talked about.
Oh well. So this one when they bring Superman back to life.
Yep.
There is still the Superman fight with everybody, which is great, and the Flash scene with Superman is still there.
Yeah.
Is great. One of the things I missed, and I didn't say anything about it last night, but because the scene plays out differently after that, and I can see why the way it played out, it worked the way it did. But Superman grabs Batman, and in the Sweden version, it says, "Do you bleed?" And he kind of repeats that comment to him.
Yeah. And
Batman says, he goes, this world needs you. And he goes, but does it need you? And that's kind of a cool moment. I liked it. I miss not saying it, but not to the point where I'm like, that. And I'm going to add one more in here is, which is really minor, is, when, Cyborg is talking to Wonder Woman. And she says, your gift. And he says, he goes, if this is a gift, then why am I the one paying for it?
Yeah,
I like that line.
That was a pretty decent line, except it feeds into Cyborg being a whiny bitch, which everybody knows how we feel about that.
Right. And that's not in the, sorry. That's not in the Snyder version. And the reason I'm laughing is because, there's a bigger, which we'll get to, but there's a much more Cyborg in the movie, including it kind of shows kind of how Cyborg came to be. And that damn guy with his sandwich, man. That damn guy with his sandwich.
I'm pretty sure that guy was the Lantern, but that fucking sandwich, man, that caused a lot of trouble.
And I apologize, and we'll get to it later. But that just popped in my head just then. It's starting to get choked up.
Another line that they took out of the Sweden cut was, "You won't let me live, you won't let me die," which I thought that was a really cool line. I kind of hated to see that go. But the scene that I really regretted not being in there was when they were saving all the civilians that got kidnapped by the parademons. And Flash is kind of wigging out, and he's like, I'm not used to this. Usually I just push a guy over and run away. And Batman says, save one. And so Flash runs in, and he grabs one, and he pulls him out, and he's like, hey, I did it. I can do another one. I'm going to go save another one. And it gives him the confidence that he needs.
Because he'll save one, then you'll know. And that's kind of a cool scene.
I thought it was a good bit of development and growth for Flash. So kind of hated that wasn't included. But
the one thing about that scene, though, which it is cool because Batman doesn't do anything extraordinary, take that guy down and you'll know you're a man. It's just save one person. You focus, save one person. Don't try to fight anybody. Just save somebody. The thing that's missing, though, is he says, I just kind of push people and then, run away. Is you don't see what happens when he pushes people.
Yeah.
And you see that in the Snyder Cut. And then you see why that's so effective, just pushing somebody.
Yeah, yeah.
Something else that's in there is, just because we mentioned it, is that we see in the Snyder Cut, which I don't remember being in the Sweden version, is that when they're fighting, he tries to push Superman. And Superman doesn't budge, and Flash bounces off of him, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's such a panic thing. It's the same scene as when he realizes that Superman can just track him and watch him as he's running. And so Superman is just barreling at him and just keeps swinging, and Flash is barely dodging. And he does do this little ineffective push It's this little limp-wristed, like, and he stumbles back. It's
so
really good.
The Flash scene is about like 10, 15 seconds longer in the Snyder cut than the other one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think I remember a couple extra punches being thrown.
Everything is 10 to 15 seconds longer. That's why it's 4 hours long. Now, I do want to say, I believe that if he were given just the same amount of screen time to work with that Sweden was, he would still have been a better movie.
Oh, yeah.
I contend that. I will fight on that.
So, one of the things clear here is, we already know, we've talked about, why the movie came in the way it did, what the executives, kind of their order and all that kind of stuff. So we talked all about that.
Because Daddy needs his Christmas bonus.
Yeah. we talked about all that stuff. But one thing here as far as the cut goes that is clear is in order to do certain things, like, for example, take out Darkseid. Because Darkseid does play, like, not himself, but not Darkseid himself, but just the talk of Darkseid is a major part of everything that's going on with the Mother Boxes and Steppenwolf and all that. To take all that out, to just eliminate any like real mention of Darkseid, there were a lot of smaller pieces of plot that you had to take out, and it's not, you couldn't just take that out without just basically, like, you couldn't just take out like this small section. You had to take out that whole chunk because, even though they only mention this, like, here's a 5-second thing, they say Darkseid, you can't just take that out. You got to take out everything that leads up to that too, because leading up to that 5 seconds where they say Darkseid.
Yeah.
So, and then when you take all that stuff out, you've got to replace it with something. And, not knowing at the time that you don't really, sometimes some things feel different. They don't feel quite right, but you don't really know. Now like, okay, this is why it feels different, because when they took that stuff out, they had to replace it with something, and what they replaced it with didn't fit, in there, because obviously it's not the same puzzle, so it's not going to fit the same. So something else that was in the Sweden version, I'll say this: I don't miss the Aquaman scene where he sits on the lasso. I don't miss that.
I don't even remember that. It must not have made any kind of impression on me.
It's when they were talking and he sits down and everything is like, and he's talking, and he's like, we're gonna die. And he's like, and I'm fine with dying. He's like, you know what? I don't want to die. It's like, and you're, it's like, you're tripping over your own feet. And it's like, you may be working for the enemy. And it's like, and you're just gorgeous. Now it's like, and then they realize he's sitting on the lasso.
Okay.
And then he looks at Flash, and he's like, not one word of this. You'll meet every prawn that I know. And he's like, honestly, I didn't hear anything after we're all gonna die. And I don't know why I remember that scene that well.
Yeah.
And that's not word for word. At least I hope it's not. But I don't know why I remember that scene that well. Especially since it's not one that I really care for that much. But I don't miss that scene. It was cute. But I don't miss it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, like, everybody expects you to do that gag with the lasso. So, yeah, it's not really too big a deal that it didn't stay in.
There was and there's some minor dialogue changes too that are interesting. So I mentioned the scene where in the end where they're fighting, and Aquaman is in the air fighting the parademons, and he kills two of them and he starts falling. Yeah. And Cyborg grabs him, and he's like, he says something like the ride ain't over yet, and then Aquaman's like, my man, and then they go on. Their interaction there is completely different in the Snyder version, which I'm like, so did Sweden actually just change the dialogue just for like that's a bitch move, man. Like change like 2 words of dialogue.
Yeah, because in the Snyder cut, he's just like, "You're welcome, my man." Which, I kind of like that level of pettiness, honestly, because that's the level of pettiness I would do, definitely. It's the same thing that we've talked about with The Shining, that Stephen King really didn't care for Kubrick's adaptation of it. And one of the differences in Kubrick's movie is that the character drove like a red car instead of a yellow car. And so when he's like driving back from the town and he sees like a big vehicle pile up and there's a car crushed under a logging truck, it's a yellow car, which is what it was in the original book. So it's basically Kubrick's way of saying, yeah, fuck you, this isn't your story anymore, it's mine.
Oh, but obviously in Kubrick's defense, not only did he write a better movie though, but when Stephen King made his little miniseries thing, like, oh god,
Oh yeah, yeah.
that's such a travesty.
Oh no, Kubrick undoubtedly handled it better than King did.
Plus, they've got. I mean, Kubrick was able to make all those different references to, the fact that he had helped them stage the moon landing too.
Oh yeah.
Because Danny's wearing the
Oh yeah,
NASA T-shirt and stuff,
and the carpet pattern, and the room number, all that stuff. Yeah,
you do what you got to do, man. So,
oh yeah.
So if you can make a really good like Stephen King movie adaptation, and also like tell everybody that you were involved in NASA's cover-up, I mean, like hell, I mean, that's a 2-for-1, man.
Absolutely, yeah. There are shirts for sale that are like Kubrick Apollo 11 film crew.
Oh, that's nice.
I really want to get one of those shirts.
And then on top of all that, you still somehow find the time to bully the shit out of Shelley Duvall. Like, where's that kind of energy come from?
Lots of cocaine. Lots and lots of cocaine.
To be honest, though, that's kind of how I treated Comey when we're getting ready from. It's like I don't want to do this topic. It's like, look, guys, don't sympathize with Acomi, okay? Just
You just put me through mental torture.
Guys, I mean, even just the opening of this, when we opened it up, we did this, 20, 30 takes just for you, like, hey, everybody, it's Acomi. Like, no, do it again. Do it again. I didn't like that one. And after all is said and done, I just go with the first take.
Yeah, that's why I just, I've taken to smoking, and I just let the ash grow, 2 inches before I flick it off.
What a dump. I'm trying to think about all the things I did like about the Sweden one. I'm like,
it's pretty easy for me because I didn't like the Sweden version that much.
No, but I mean, there were little, like I said, little touches that I did like. But for the most part, though, the Snyder cut it's superior.
Oh yeah,
it really, really is.
Yeah, very definitely.
Even from the start, the movie starts off with Batman or Bruce Wayne trying to put the team together, and going and seeing Aquaman, and there's a really nice scene in that where in the Sweden version it's him just talking to Aquaman, and then he's like he says this guy comes in with the king tide, he brings stuff, and then Aquaman says a couple words in Finnish, or I'm not sure what
I don't know
languages.
I speak American.
And then Bruce says, "Well, okay, fine. How about you tell me about that thing up on the wall over there?" And they've got this mural of the the mother boxes.
Yeah. And
that's what kind of makes Aquaman mad. Well, I mean, I didn't really think much of that in the other one, but then when we're watching the Snyder cut, and it's like, this is not like a town that he lives in. It's just one he visits to help them out during the winter because the storms get so bad that, it gets so cold and the ice gets so bad that it freezes up the passage so ships can't get in. Mm-hmm. So they really are kind of cut off from, food and supplies and stuff like that. And that's where the Aquaman comes in. So why would they have this drawing of the mother boxes on the wall?
Yeah, just randomly.
Right. It was like, and I mean, again, with a little more information watching this one thing, it's like, okay, well, that makes sense. But then if I just look at it, go back to that one, unless that town was specifically involved in something with the mother boxes, why would they have that on there?
Right.
You wouldn't. So then when you look at it that way, that doesn't make any sense. But in the Snyder cut, Aquaman's translating between him and the town elder. And then near the end of the translation, the thing that actually pisses Aquaman off and makes him slam against the wall is that Bruce speaks back in their language, which is I didn't need a translator at all. I've just been fucking with you this whole time because I'm Bruce Wayne.
Fucking Wayne, bitch.
And that's what makes him slam up against the wall. So it's that I thought was kind of cool because if you know anything about Batman, then you know that. He's not going to go into something half-assed like that and not be able to speak the language, or,
Yeah.
So, I thought that was really kind of cool. And they solved one of my biggest problems too, which was Aquaman, just being such a dirty ass litterer. And then want to complain about, how, the world is like destroying like the ocean by tossing a litter in it. Even this, the same guy that took off his sweater and threw it in the water and, threw it on the shore for it to get washed out to sea, and then drank that like bottle of whiskey and then threw that in the water. I'm like, damn you. And then you're going to blame it on like the surface dwellers. But then they actually saw someone come by, pick up his sweater later on.
Yeah, some really thirsty chick.
Yeah, she was super thirsty.
Oh yeah,
super pale. I mean, she was creep factor 9, man. She wasn't she wasn't as bad as a chick from like Women's Prison Massacre.
Oh God, Albina.
Yeah, she wasn't that bad, but she was beyond my acceptable pale. I mean, if this girl is so pale, if you put red hair on her, she would disappear completely. So
yeah, you could tell she was wanting some of that Aquaman.
She was
wanting some of that fish stick.
Yeah, Aquaman does like fish sticks. He likes fish sticks in his mouth.
What is he, a gay fish?
And I was gonna say I do like Kanye West's appearance there when he finally does go to Atlantis. I do like seeing Kanye's appearance there. That was kind of awesome.
Yeah.
So I like that. So we start off with Bruce Wayne kind of putting the team together, and they do still have the one line that I really liked when he's talking to Diana Prince, and he's saying she's like, so is he going to be a part of the team? He's like, yeah. He agreed. He's like, yeah, more or less. And she's like, more or less. And he's like, he said no. He said no. I mean, I love that part. And I'm glad that's still in it.
I like that there's just the slightest bit of sexual tension between Bruce and Diana,
with
but
the mouse.
Yeah, with the mouse. But it's not something that like they really ham up and act on. And I think a lesser director would have really tried to play that up and really tried to force it in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, it's just enough to know that like they really respect each other. And, there's a little bit of something there, but nothing that they would ever do to like compromise the team. I kind of liked it.
Yeah. Can we, I think you and I need to stop dancing around this one part and just really get to this one, just get it out of the way, and just get out there. That way we can move on with the rest of the podcast.
Sure.
The scene on Themyscira when Steppenwolf shows up to get the first mother box.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. How is this so much freaking heaven? Oh my God. It's like, I wanted to like death by snoo snoo and then be like resurrected by a mother box and then commit the same crime over again so I could get death by snoo snoo again.
Holy shit, that was a lot of sexy in one scene.
Oh my God, yes.
I guess it's worth pointing out for first time listeners, Turk and I have a thing for fit chicks.
Yes. So much.
There was a lot of beautiful, beautiful women with like 6-pack abs moving in Snyder slow motion. Patented Snyder slow motion.
And it wasn't just the so it kind of plays out roughly the same, except a
lot hotter.
The Amazonians are more aware that something is coming, so they actually have the mother box, and you find out the mother box in the movie is actually in a shell. It's like in some kind of container, and not just sitting out on its own. But they actually have like guards that basically surround and watch the mother box all day.
Mm-hmm.
And when it cracks open, they start to kind of like, hey, something's going on here. And they've been watching it, and then it fully cracks open. Steppenwolf appears, and that's a badass scene, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. And then like that whole scene plays out as like a much bigger fight there than just what you saw before. A lot of it still plays out the same way with them playing like chase and tag with the mother box. Yeah, thank you. But then when they're like, we've got to seal the doors. And they're like, what's it, like hammer swing or something like that, hammers. And you see
hammers!
And you see not just 2 women, but there's 6. So they've got like 6 gates that they're going to close, and they just smash those things. And I'm like, oh man.
And they've got incredible biceps and incredible abs.
Yeah.
It's the hottest thing ever.
So that was awesome. And you get to see, like I said, there's so much more to that scene and the fighting. And oh my God. So Steppenwolf shows up. and he looks so much cooler and so much more badass.
So much better. Oh my god, he looks better.
And the armor that he's wearing that moves almost like it's alive, and it's got that iridescence to it. It's so beautiful.
And it like bristles and flares up when he's mad and stuff. It's really cool.
And like the mascara is gonna be making so much glue after that because
he fucked up some horses.
Oh boy, did he! That was amazing. Because as you all know, that the Zack Snyder cut is a rated R. We get 3 fucks and 1 son of a bitch or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
But yeah, didn't he cut it 1 horse in half?
No, he just like grabbed it and like flipped it over his head and slammed it. Yeah.
And then when they tie him down with the ropes, they shoot the arrows in him and stuff. Yeah. And he like grabs the ropes and swings in. There's like Amazonians and horses, and he just like
he just fucks them all up. It's great.
Oh yeah, that whole fight scene was amazing.
The action scenes are a lot better, a lot better. Now, one thing I've always been critical of with fast characters, and I've talked about this in other podcasts, is like where they're moving and everything else is moving in like stop time.
Yes.
Because, like, Marvel's done that, like, 2 or 3 times with Quicksilver now?
Well,
or I guess Fox.
I was going to say, to be fair, it's Fox.
Yeah, but like, so, you know, it's like, it was cool the first time, but then it was overdone, and then, like, they did it 2 or 3 times in the Sonic film, stuff like that. And so they did do it 1 time with Flash in this movie, but I thought it was actually handled pretty well.
Actually, they kind of did it twice in the end, when he's like,
oh, yeah. Well, that was also like a time travel thing, so that I find kind of excusable.
Okay.
Because like that was like pushing the plot forward. It wasn't just, oh hey, look at how fast this guy is. Bet you've never seen this before. And so at first, when that scene started, I was like, oh, that's kind of bullshit. They're doing the same thing that everybody else is doing with a fast character. But then, like the way that he was moving the girl through the air, and he was being like super gentle with her, I thought that was a really, really nice touch.
So, I don't think you've ever seen it, the Flash TV series from the 90s, late 80s, early 90s.
I don't think I've seen any of those. No.
So, John Wesley Shipp plays Flash, and of course he's a Flash, an incarnation of the Flash in the current series.
Yeah.
But in the very first episode, after he gets his speed abilities, he goes to clean up his apartment because someone's coming over. And he starts running around the apartment, cleaning things up, picking stuff up, and he's just running, putting everything together. And then when he stops, he doesn't realize that everything as he's running around, all these papers and things are getting caught up in his wake.
Right.
So when he stops, everything he cleaned up just basically ends up like coming back down to the ground, and he didn't clean up anything up at all.
I like it.
So that, to what you were saying, is when we see the Flash scene, he is being very gentle with her because he is moving so much faster, so he can't turn her or move her, right, like he would. And
like compare that to the Quicksilver scenes where he'll just like grab somebody by the waist of their pants and just like jerk them through the air. It's like that would shatter every bone in their body.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think that yes, at that time it's okay, but for them in real time, that inertia is going to catch up to them.
Oh, yeah.
It's got to go somewhere.
Yeah. So, but what I was glad that they did was when they led all of the captured people out of the building and the rocks started falling.
Yes.
And Flash just basically makes himself a shield moving over them. That was so freaking cool.
He really made the Flash stand out and made him, and showed just like how powerful he was, and didn't just make him seem like this like ineffective joke.
Yeah,
because that's how he is in the Sweden version. He really is just kind of like he's just there for just for the comedy. He's a comedic buffoon in a sense, like, oh, I'm the guy that doesn't know what to do with my powers. I mean, even Cyborg knows more about what to do than he does.
Right.
So, but in this one, they really make Flash, even though he's not the same caliber of hero as Wonder Woman and Batman and Superman, which, to be perfectly honest, Flash has more. Maybe not. Let's say he has more experience being a hero than Superman does, but no, because it's 18 months after the Man of Steel incident, to when we get to BVS.
Yeah.
Because I think when you're watching it, it says 18 months later. So so that means that's 18 months of Superman flying around doing good deeds.
Right, right.
So he probably still has a little bit more experience than Flash does. But we get to show the Flash at least knows his powers to a certain extent. He hasn't tested them out and seen just, to the extent that like what can I really do with them? But he knows certain things. One thing he knows is that he knows that he can heal himself.
Mm-hmm.
Because he does it. And now this is kind of a spoiler thing at the end. He gets clipped and he starts to bitch whine a little bit, right? Which is, I say that's not really being fair because he's running super fast. He's running super, super fast. He's building up this charge and he says, I can't hold this for much longer. He's got to release it. And then he gets hit by this, by an energy ray and it knocks him to the ground, like that charge and everything that it goes somewhere. And then when he gets up, Batman says something to him. He's like, I'm okay. I just got the wind knocked out of me. But he's in a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't say that to anybody like, oh my God, I think I'm dying. He just, to himself, he starts kind of being a little bitchy. But then he's like, I can heal myself. And he does. And so it's like, obviously it probably still hurts quite a bit.
Yeah.
But he knows what he can do when he does it. And that was kind of a cool scene.
I like that.
But it showed that at some point he'd hurt himself doing something and was like, okay, I know I can do this. Another good thing about the Flash scene is if you go back to Captain America Civil War. No, I'm sorry, not Civil War, Winter Soldier. If you go to Winter Soldier, when he and Natasha are hiding out and they go to the Apple store to try to use the to try to find out what's on the flash drive, which, I mean, it's a good thing that movie took place then, because if they try to do that now, it'd be like, well, I'm sorry, you're going to use this dongle if you want to connect the USB to, like, any Apple product.
Right,
Because we remove headphone jacks, USBs. There's not even actually a port for you to plug it in. You actually have to summon the ghost of Steve Jobs. And if he's willing, he will touch it with his ghostly hand and recharge your item. Other than that, though, sorry, there's nothing you can do. We want to make them completely like airtight and smooth. There's no holes in our product at all. It's like, I mean, come on, really? Would you buy anything with holes in it? Like, I don't think so. But in that one, Natasha says something to Steve, and he says, if I were running these shoes, he's like, they'd rip apart.
Yeah.
And just because, he's Captain America. But we see in the Zack Snyder cut that when the Flash goes to stop this accident or protect people from this accident, in particular cases, this woman, like the first thing that happens when he goes to run is he rips right out of his shoes. You just see him rip out his shoes.
As he turns, they rip.
Yeah. And then as he runs to the window, you've all seen a picture where he puts his hand out and he's like pointing his finger, and you see the window just has to stretch almost like it's elastic as it's giving before it's breaking. Kind of almost like a Neo Matrix kind of thing, but not quite. Just a slow motion. It's like a elapsed time effect of him like breaking through that window and all the glass shattering and stuff.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Really well done.
Very beautiful.
And like you see him like moving, and the way he moves, like you said, it's so well done where he's being very careful and very precise about how he moves stuff.
Yeah.
And then of course when you get to the whole him and Bruce Wayne meeting, I still have a problem with him not knowing who Bruce Wayne is. I mean, I can understand if you didn't recognize his face, but if he said, I'm Bruce Wayne, I mean, I'd be like, oh shit, Bruce Wayne,
that rich guy.
Right. So, hi, Bruce. So, and there was something in there that made me think that I saw, and I can't remember what it is now, that made me go, okay, so, he's tested out things to show that this is not going to hold up to his speed, but I don't remember exactly what it was. But it was something that made me think about that. Anyway, so Wonder Woman. We talked about this a few times, and then of course we mentioned it again last night. The whole opening scene with Wonder Woman and the people that are going to blow up 4 blocks of London.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and this is just a pet peeve of mine, which I mentioned last night, that I don't. It's just a pet peeve of mine that it just bugs me. So these guys are there, and they come in the building, and they start shooting everybody. First off, there's these 3 white vans. There's 2 or 3 white vans that show up. Mm-hmm. A guy gets out, and he's walking, and the guard standing there sees the guy get out of the van and just starts walking up the steps. Everybody else that gets out of the van, they are armed with automatic rifles. And this guy's like, hey, and he goes to pull out his gun. It's like, but wait, that guy that's walking up the steps, he got that same van. So he's probably with them, right? Unless he's like the Uber driver or something. Like, he's probably with them. So when he gets shot in the back of the head, I'm like, yeah, I understand you probably weren't thinking that, oh yeah, shit, he's with them. But like, yeah, you might want to kind of consider that because, well, and then they go in there, they just start shooting everybody. And then they're holding people hostage. And people are screaming. They're like, shut up, or I'll kill you. And then the guy's like, I'm going to blow up 4 blocks of the city. And then people are screaming like, shut up, I'm going to kill you. Like, wait, you're already going to kill me. Yeah. Would I really give a shit whether you shoot me or if you blow me up? You're still going to fucking kill me. Like, so you can't threaten me with this. That's like saying, like, which do you like, cake or pie? I'm like, I like them both equally. Shut the fuck up or you're going to get pie. I'm like, okay. Not really a threat.
But we do got to say for the Snyder Cut, it finally answered a big question that we've always had.
Yes,
about
it does.
Diana.
And it's answered later on, and it's not even answered directly through her. It's
answered by our boy Alfred.
Yeah, it is. It's answered by Alfred,
who is a sassy bitch all throughout the movie.
Alfred's awesome.
He'll just basically walk in the room. He's like, "Man, fuck you, Bruce. Fuck you." Just walk back out. I was like, "Dude, what?" I thought you had this like weirdly specific vision about meeting me in a cafe in Paris.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Bruce, I'm glad your parents are dead. Fuck you. I was like, Alfred, calm down.
No, you don't understand. Look at me. I was in fucking MI6. I'm a handsome guy. I got a British accent. I live in America. And not only that, but like I got this mansion that your parents are hardly ever at. You know how much pussy I could have been getting? But no, they had to die because of Martha. And then I got to take over and like raise their kid. You think that'd be kind of cool, right? The whole single parent raising a little rich kid and everything. So, but then it's like, I don't get to be your stepdad. No, I'm still the butler. I'm still the hired help.
I'm still the help.
Right. It's like, yeah. MI6, loaded mansion, British accent. Yeah, no, none of that cancels out the help when it comes to getting pussy.
I mean, like, he never has a nice thing to say to him at any point. And he's like, yeah, I tried recruiting Aquaman. He said no. He's like, yeah, well, you are a jackass who gargles cock, so can't really blame you.
He probably couldn't understand what you were saying when you were like, you were going to help us. In your mind, you was like, Aquaman needs to join the team. But what all he heard was, how did we get down this trail?
Yeah, fuck you, man. I wouldn't have joined you either. Hey, Bruce asked me if I want to join your team. The answer's no, fucker.
I don't understand how we got down that road.
It's because I said he was a sassy bitch.
But he is, though. He does say some pretty sassy things. But Alfred is working on a design for these gauntlets that Batman wears that will absorb the energy rays that come out of Parademon's guns, and then will absorb and dissipate the energy. And he tests them out and they work. And it's kind of funny because when he's going to test it out, he's going to shoot the one gauntlet that he's been making. He says, oh, this is Master Wayne's design, and he's going to shoot it, and it's on the table, and one of them standing behind the table, and he's like, you may want to move to the side. She's like, oh, and she moves to the side. He's like, he's so polite.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not going to hurt her. She's been shot by a I mean, remember that whole fight with Doomsday? I mean, so he's aware of the damage she can take, but he's still like, if you don't mind, rather than you not get hurt.
Yeah. Because he's a gentleman.
Right.
Except to Bruce.
And so my biggest problem has always been, and still is, Wonder Woman's bracelets. There's a fight that's going on, and, she blocks bullets with her bracelets, which is unnecessary. We know it's unnecessary. So, because, she's getting hit and punched and all this kind of stuff. So, like, a bullet's not going to do that not going to do any damage to her.
Right.
But then when we talk about the whole gauntlet thing, and that kind of answers the question that her bracelets do the same thing. They absorb the impact. They absorb the and the impact of the bullet, so they don't ricochet.
Yeah.
So when she's doing that, she's not for her sake, but it's to keep the bullets from ricocheting and then possibly doing more damage that she can't stop. So I was like, okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it explained it all finally.
And then when she does that scene, I don't remember this in the Sweden version, but when she's protecting everybody and she does the one where she spins backwards, like crouched down.
Yeah.
She takes a couple shots in the back and you hear her just kind of say like, ow.
Yeah. Yeah, she grunts.
So that was really kind of cool. I love that.
Yeah, I really don't think that was in the Sweden cut.
And that whole scene plays out a little bit differently too, with the guy trying to kill them and stuff. That entire part really plays out differently.
Mm-hmm. It makes a lot more sense.
It was still unnecessary for her to clash her bracelets to kill the guy.
Yeah.
And to destroy that building. Unnecessary.
Yeah, she just fucking nuked him and all the hostages.
Almost killed a couple cops too.
Oh,
debris starts raining down.
She blew off the top of the building and all the walls come crumbling down.
In that scene where she gets rid of the briefcase.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful scene.
Oh, that was so well shot. It was so well shot.
Yeah, even with the slow-mo actually really worked really well for that.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I'm not one of those people who's gonna bitch every time Snyder uses slow-mo. It's only when it's, like, overdone.
Yeah.
And, honestly, I think most of the time that he does it, it's justified. Now, I think if you removed all the slow-mo from the movie, it would be like a 2-hour movie.
Yeah. It could have come in under, like, the running time had he just removed all that.
Because, it's those little moments where it's like, hey, Cyborg, would you pass the salt? And it's like, Bruce.
All right there, folks. That was Our Moms Think We're Funny. Let's give them a hand.